I never thought I'd be the guy standing here writing about how I found out my wife, Lisa, was cheating on me. It's just one of those things you think will never happen to you, especially not with someone you've been with for over 5 years, someone you trusted more than anyone else in the world. She always seemed fine, a little bitchy sometimes, sure, but that was just Lisa. She had a sharp tongue, a quick temper, but deep down she was smart, funny, and sexy as hell. We met during college, and after a few years of dating, we got engaged, then married in a big, fancy wedding. The whole thing was perfect, or so I thought. It started feeling different a couple of months ago. Little things. She was working late more often, claiming it was business stuff, but I'd catch her in lies here and there. She'd get defensive, brush me off, and then start acting weird whenever I'd ask her about her phone. She'd hide it, lock it, and sometimes I swear I saw her delete messages right in front of me. But I didn't think too much of it. People do shady stuff sometimes, right? Maybe she was stressed, maybe I was overthinking it. Plus, I didn't want to believe my wife could do something so shitty. Then it got worse. The signs started piling up. She was more distant, more bitchy, snapping at me over dumb things. She'd yawn and roll her eyes when I tried to talk about us, like I was bothering her just by trying to connect. She'd leave her phone around sometimes, but I noticed the notifications buzzing late at night, and I'd see her sneak a glance before she quickly put it down. I'd catch her texting someone, a guy I think, at weird hours. I asked her about it and she'd dismiss me with a sharp "it's nothing," or "you're just paranoid." Yeah, right, but the real kicker, the moment everything turned upside down, happened last week. I was supposed to go to bed early because I had a big meeting the next day. I was tired, so I decided to check her phone just to see if she was hiding anything more. Maybe I was being paranoid, but I just had this gut feeling. I snuck into the bedroom while she was in the bathroom, grabbed her phone, and unlocked it. The messages were there, text after text, mostly flirty, slightly sexy, but what got me was the context. They were talking about meeting up, texting late into the night, and calling each other pet names. It was her best man, Jake. The guy she'd been joking around with during the bachelor party, the guy who's been close to both of us for years. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. The worst part is, there was no denying it. The texts kept disappearing from her phone, vanishing right in front of my eyes. I kept flipping through her cache, and I swear I saw the conversation get shorter, more innocent, then completely gone. It was almost like someone was actively trying to erase it. I don't know how she did it, but I was furious and devastated at the same time. How could she lie, cheat, and then try to wipe it away like it was nothing? I was so angry I couldn't even think straight. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I didn't. Part of me was too shocked, too hurt. I just sat there, staring at her phone, trying to grasp what I'd found. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and utterly stupid for not seeing the signs earlier. How long had she been doing this? Was it a one-time thing? And most of all, what does it say about me that I'd trusted her so blindly? All the questions started swirling in my mind, and I knew I'd never look at her the same way again. After I found out about the texts, I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat there in the dark, staring at her phone in my hands, trying to process what I'd just seen. I kept going over the messages, the disappearing texts, the way she had lied about everything. Honestly, I felt like a complete fool. How could I be so blind? She's always been bitchy, yes, but I never thought she'd cheat on me with Jake, of all people. It's like the worst betrayal I could imagine. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a knot in my stomach. I knew I had to confront her, but I wasn't sure how. I mean, I was angry, hurt, and scared all at once. When she finally came out of the bathroom, still half asleep, I looked at her differently. Her usual smirk, that sharp edge she always carried, seemed sharper now. I just looked at her and said, "We need to talk." She rolled her eyes, that typical bitchy look she always had, and said, "What now? Can't a girl get ready without your stupid questions?" "No," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "because I found out something last night, and it changes everything." Her facade cracked a little. She looked defensive, like she was trying to dismiss it, brush it off. "What are you talking about? You're overreacting as usual, probably just jealous." I held up her phone, showing her the messages I had saved. "You're cheating on me, Lisa, with Jake. I caught the texts and I saw how you lied about everything. The disappearing messages, yeah, I saw that too. Tell me what the hell is going on. She scoffed, crossing her arms. Oh, please, you're so paranoid. You think I'd cheat on you with Jake. That's ridiculous. You're just insecure. I'm insecure. Are you kidding me? You've been lying to my face for months, acting weird, hiding your phone. And now I find all this. I thought you loved me, Lisa, but clearly I was just some fool you wanted to marry while sneaking around behind my back. She started to get angry, raising her voice. You don't know what you're talking about. You're always accusing me of stuff. Maybe if you paid more attention to me instead of spying on my phone, you'd see that I'm the one who's been suffering here. That's when I snapped. I told her I wanted an explanation, a real one. And her response was to call me crazy, accuse me of being jealous, and say I was just trying to ruin her life. She insisted she loved me, that it was just a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to happen. But her voice was defensive, her eyes darting away. I could see she was lying, and I knew that whatever she was saying was just more bullshit. I felt this mix of rage, heartbreak, and confusion. I'd always thought we had a good thing, that she was my person. But now everything was falling apart, and I couldn't even tell if I knew her anymore. I looked at her, and for the first time I really saw her, not the wife I loved, but someone else entirely. Someone capable of betrayal, lies, and disappearing texts. That realization hit me harder than anything else. I didn't know if I could ever trust her again, or if I even wanted to. All I knew was that I had to figure out what to do next, and it wasn't going to be easy. The days that followed were a blur. I kept replaying everything in my head. Her sneaky glances, the way she'd lie so smoothly, the texts I now knew about but couldn't see anymore. Honestly, I felt sick. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and every time I looked at her, I saw a stranger. She kept denying everything, calling me paranoid, saying I was overreacting, that I was insecure. But I knew the truth in my gut. The woman I married had been hiding a secret, and I just uncovered it in the worst way possible. One afternoon, I decided I needed to gather more evidence, just to be sure. I knew she was probably lying about the whole thing, but I wanted to see if I could catch her. In the act again. I started checking her phone whenever she wasn't looking, her messages, her social media, anything I could find. And sure enough, I found more strange activity. Texts that disappeared as soon as I looked at them, new numbers saved under fake names, and her acting suspiciously whenever I got close to her phone. Now I'm no fool. I knew I had to face her again, but this time I wanted her to own up, to tell me what the hell was really going on. I waited until she was in the kitchen, pretending to be busy. Then I just walked up and demanded she give me her phone. She looked at me with that annoyed, bitchy expression and snatched it away, trying to act like I was just being paranoid. But I grabbed her wrist just enough to stop her, and I told her I wasn't leaving without the truth. She finally relented, handed me her phone, and I started scrolling through her messages. The minutes stretched painfully long as I saw more evidence of her affair with Jake, flirty texts, late-night calls, plans to meet up, and even some sexy photos she'd sent him. It was worse than I thought. She looked at me with that icy, "What are you gonna do now?" expression, and I knew I had to act fast. I told her I'd had enough, that I was done playing her game. I was furious, but I also felt heartbreak creeping in. How could she do this to me, to us? I looked her straight in the eyes and told her if she thought she could just brush this off, she was dead wrong. I warned her I'd be making some serious decisions, that I wasn't going to let this slide. I felt my blood boiling, but I knew I had to stay calm, at least for now. She spat back some bullshit about how Jake's just a friend and it means nothing, but it was clear she was lying even as she said it. I saw right through her. She always was good at lying, especially when she was caught. But this time I was done. I was tired of her bullshit. I knew she was lying about everything, trying to keep her little affair hidden, but her lies only made things worse. I realized I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I had to decide whether this was salvageable or if I needed to walk away once and for all. After I took her phone and saw all those messages, I knew I couldn't just brush this off anymore. The betrayal was too deep, and honestly, I was angry enough to do something stupid. But I also knew I needed to think clearly. This wasn't just about catching her cheating. It was about what I wanted to do next. I told her to sit down and I demanded she tell me the truth. No more lies, no more excuses. Her expression was defensive, her face flushed, but I could see the flicker of panic in her eyes. She tried to deny everything at first. "It's just sex," she said, trying to minimize it. "It didn't mean anything. Jake's just a friend who's been there for me during stressful times." Yeah, right. I couldn't believe how she was spinning it. She kept calling me crazy, saying I was overreacting, that I was insecure. She even got bitchy, throwing in lines like "you're so controlling" or "you don't trust me." But I wasn't falling for her bullshit anymore. I felt hollow, like I'd lost the part of me that trusted her. What struck me hardest was the way she kept blaming me, like I was the problem for just catching her cheating. "You never listen," she snapped. "You're always accusing me of stuff. Maybe if you paid more attention, I wouldn't have to seek comfort elsewhere." That was the moment I realized how manipulative she could be. She was trying to turn it around on me, make me feel guilty for catching her in the act. But I wasn't buying it. She was the one who crossed the line, not me. I told her I needed space to think, that I wasn't going to tolerate this anymore. She got more bitchy, throwing tantrums, saying I was overreacting, that she still loved me, that it was just a stupid mistake. But I saw through her. The way she said it, like she expected me to forgive her on her terms, made my stomach turn. I realized I was at a crossroads. I could try to forgive her, but could I really trust her again? Or was this the end of us? I didn't want to make a rash decision, but I also knew I couldn't stay in this limbo forever. That night I stayed up all night trying to make sense of everything. I kept asking myself if I could live with this betrayal, if I could ever trust her again. And honestly, I wasn't sure anymore. Part of me wanted to believe she'd change, that maybe she'd regret what she'd done. But deep down, I knew the damage was done. I'd been betrayed by the woman I loved, and I didn't think she was going to fix it. The only thing I knew for sure was that I had to decide whether to fight for this marriage or walk away from it for good. The decision didn't come easily, but after days of contemplating everything, I knew I couldn't stay in that meandering limbo. My mind kept circling back to how she'd lied, cheated, and tried to gaslight me into thinking I was the problem. I realized that trust, once shattered this badly, wasn't something you could just glue back together with a few apologies. It takes genuine effort, and honestly, I didn't see her making that effort. I sat her down again, and this time I was cold, not rage cold, but calm and firm. I told her I was done with the lies, the cheating, the manipulations. I said I didn't want to be with someone who could do something so hurtful and then dismiss it as just sex or a mistake. I told her I needed time to think about whether I wanted to stay or leave, and I warned her that if I left, it would be for good. I was tired of feeling like I was walking on eggshells, tired of questioning whether I ever really knew her. She threw a fit, of course, started screaming, calling me a coward, saying I was overreacting, that I was ruining everything. She begged, cried, and even blamed me for not paying enough attention or not being romantic enough. But none of that mattered anymore. I felt empty inside, like all the love I once had for her was draining out of me slowly with every word she said. I knew I couldn't trust her, not anymore. Not after seeing her secret texts, not after realizing how much she lied and manipulated me. So I made my decision. I told her I was leaving that day, going to stay in a friend's place, at least for now. I didn't want to drag this out, didn't want to keep feeling like I was walking on glass. I packed a bag, told her I was done, and walked out of that house knowing I'd never forget what I'd found. The betrayal cut so deep I didn't know if I'd ever trust anyone again, but I also knew I had to protect myself from further damage. Now, looking back, I feel a strange mixture of relief and sadness. Relief that I finally took control, that I didn't let her manipulate me anymore. Sad because I loved her once and I thought we had something real. But I also know I'll be okay, eventually. This experience has taught me that betrayal can come from the person you trust most, and sometimes the only way to heal is to walk away. If there's one thing I'd tell anyone in my place, it's to listen to your gut. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. Don't let anyone treat you like you're disposable, no matter how much you love them. Since leaving her, life has been a roller coaster of emotions. At first I felt hollow, like I'd lost a part of myself that I'd never get back. I kept replaying everything, trying to understand how I missed the signs, how she could lie so effortlessly. But as the days went on, I started to feel a strange sense of clarity. It's like a weight finally lifted off my shoulders. I realized I'd been living in a fantasy where everything was perfect, but deep down, I knew she wasn't the person I thought she was. That truth, painful as it was, set me free. I've been focusing on myself since then, getting my head straight, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected, and working on my career. The worst part, honestly, was the self-doubt, questioning whether I was naive, whether I'd missed the warning signs, whether I'd loved her more than I loved myself. But I've come to accept that love isn't enough if it's one-sided or built on lies. Real love means honesty, trust, and respect, things she threw out the window. Looking back, I've learned a lot. Betrayal cuts so deep, but it also teaches you who you really are. I'm not the same guy I was a few weeks ago. I'm more cautious now, more aware of how fragile relationships can be. I don't regret what I did, confronting her, leaving, standing up for myself. Because if I hadn't, I'd still be living in that false reality she created, pretending everything was okay. As for her, I honestly don't know what she's doing now, and honestly, I don't care. I've realized that sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is walk away from someone who betrays you. No matter how much you love them, if they're not willing to be honest and committed, then there's no future there. I've learned to value myself more, to trust my instincts, and to never ignore the red flags again. So to anyone out there going through something similar, trust your gut. Don't let anyone treat you like dirt, no matter how much you want it to work. Sometimes, walking away is the hardest but the only way to really heal. And at the end of the day, I know I'll be okay because I've finally started putting myself first. That's what matters most.